Hello, hello, and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of The Art of Inspired Selling. I'm so happy you're here today, where the goal of the show is to deliver valuable information to my B2B audience of 6 and 7 figure business owners that aren't just surviving today, they're actually thriving in our new normal. So today I am very happy to tell you that we have on the show Debra Wheatman, who is founder and president of Careers Done Right, a marketing and personal branding company providing comprehensive services to both job seekers and professionals who are proactive about managing their professional development and career planning efforts. With her background in corporate human resources, with well-respected financial services, advertising, media, and entertainment companies, Debra guides clients in establishing and reaching goals that are aligned with their professional needs. Debra works in the area of career management, leadership strategy, interpersonal engagement, change management, and performance in post-merger and acquisition environments. So that's a lot. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our guest on the show today. Debra, welcome
Hi.
to the show. How are you today?
How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So tell us, where are you live today? Where are you seated?
So today I am seated in Delray Beach, Florida.
Ah, my old stomping grounds, Delray. Is it hot and humid?
It is very hot, and I'll just look to the right to see. Well, it's sunny right now. It was pouring before, but it is humid.
All those summer showers that,
Yes.
I definitely learned my hydroplaning driving from driving on the turnpike back in the day when I was
Oh,
up and
yes.
down that all the time. Can't even call it a freeway. So,
No.
Debra, I am so happy you joined us. So part of the reason that I want people to come on this show is that I want you to share your valuable information, your wealth of knowledge, so that the audience can take really valuable tips from you, the expert in your space, and be able to apply that to what they're doing today. And, a lot of entrepreneurs might have had a rough go, right? Just like me with my camera falling down. They might have had a rough go in the past 90 days due to COVID. So maybe they're considering a career change, right? Or maybe they've been downsized or furloughed or what's going on. So it's super relevant for your information right now to help people learn how to stand out from the crowd. So tell us a little bit about you, what you do, how your revenue sources are, and what you're going to teach today on the art of inspired selling.
Sure. Well, so I work with clients to make sure that they're branding themselves effectively, right? Because your brand, your personal brand, your professional brand, all of that is tied to what you deliver, both to a company, internally to an audience that you're dealing with for your internal clients, as well as externally. So building, managing, maintaining a personal brand that extends to your professional life really creates, if you will, the overall framework for how people perceive you.
Yes.
And the things you share with them, by definition, then become what your brand is. So what they know you for. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of the work that I do with my clients. So they are able to, when they meet with people, they can share that quick 30-second elevator speech, and everybody immediately knows what they do and what they are and how they can provide value. Because even if you're looking externally or you're looking internally, your brand is the thing that defines you.
Absolutely. And so how many corporations do you feel frown on today's workforce having a personal brand? Because I've heard a couple of war stories about guys in my past space, in the biotech space, that happened to have like a podcast, and maybe they were teaching people selling skills or something. And Big Brother, knock, 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 said, hey person, that interferes with your job today. You need to stop. So have you run across that in the today's culture, that big brands find that a personal brand competes?
In some instances, that possibly is true. So, for example, I'll use financial services
Mm-hmm.
as an example because they have a lot of regulations and there's compliance things, and they are very concerned with what people are sharing online and things like that, especially on LinkedIn and things like that. So they do take a hard look at what people are doing externally, right? To make sure that it's not impacting the brand, if you will, of a particular bank. I do find that some organizations or companies are much more, for lack of a better term, they're more chill about it. They're like, you know what, it's fine because you're sharing your information. People know that you're part of this organization, and it kind of helps us, right?
Right.
To demonstrate this person has this body of knowledge. They're willing to share that with the broader community. It doesn't interfere with the work you're doing here, so we're okay with it. So I think it's on a case-by-case basis that you find companies will either have a problem or not. And certainly I think it's industry, some industries are more impacted by that than others.
Yeah, and that might be good for another conversation. How do you overcome that? What do you do? Do you just leave the company? Or how can you still gingerly have those conversations with HR about, it's really, do you not understand how important it is for me to stand out? So anyway, so let's talk, tell me about your company. So do you primarily work with individuals in corporations? Are you looking for working with job seekers? Are you working with people like me? They're solopreneurs. Who's your target market that you work with?
So primarily I work with people that are either searching for new opportunities, or maybe they're in an organization currently and they're looking to grow within their current environment, or possibly look to make a change. I also work with people that are transferring industries. Maybe they work in finance now and they're looking to join a different type of industry and do something else. So those are my primary people that I work with. But I also do work with solopreneurs because sometimes people need advice on what they're doing in their business. Mm-hmm. Certain things related to either their social media presence or their business plan that they want to run something by someone and get some feedback or advice on either things that they're presenting about their brand, whether that be in person or online.
Okay.
So I deal with those people in that regard.
Okay, I'm taking my suction cups off. I try. Okay, so what everybody needs to realize, and I think I said this maybe Monday, Mercury is in retrograde. So technology happens during this time, and you just roll with it. You just go with it. Like, I'm glad I have a Gumby thing. I might throw it later. Okay, so let's get into, I'm going to share my screen, everybody. And if you listen to this later as just an audio version, the link is going to be in the description so that you can see the document that I'm sharing, which is called Building Your Personal Brand. So I'm going to bring that up while Debra takes some time to go through. And here we go. So can everybody see that? Debra, can you see it?
I can. It's small.
Okay.
I have my glasses on, so I think I'm good.
And I can also go off screen and okay. We'll stick with what we were doing. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Let's talk shop.
Okay. Yes, let's. So I put this together to help people, give them a framework for building a personal brand, and help people understand what are the things they need to consider and what is their brand. A lot of people, when I speak with them, they don't even know what their brand is to start with. So that's always a good starting point. Mm-hmm. What is your personal brand? Like, what do you think you're known for? And people do struggle with building a meaningful personal brand. They sometimes are a bit scattered or all over the place, just like sometimes people will say, well, I'm really good at all of these things. And while that might be true, and I never doubt that someone's good at a variety of things, we're all unique and have a lot of talents. When it comes to pursuing new opportunities, looking for work, growing internally, an organization, a hiring manager, what have you, they don't want to hear that. They want to know what it is that you can do for them.
Mm-hmm.
And part of being able to deliver that in a really succinct and impactful way is knowing what your brand is. So the first step is to really figure out what you stand for and highlight your expertise in a particular thing. The other benefit that you'll get from that is not only will you have a better understanding of the value that you can really truly bring, but you'll also be able to deliver that clearly to someone else and hone in on what really sets you apart, as opposed to saying, well, I can do anything, which is what I hear from a lot of people. You know what? You can't do anything. You can do a lot of things. You can't do anything. And if you go into a situation saying, well, I can do anything, you're going to be known for really not doing anything
For
at
being
all.
a generalist, right?
Yes,
And we all want to be
generalist.
paid to be a specialist.
Yes.
Your worth is the value you bring to your employer or your clients. So definitely you need to understand that. Okay. So do you need me to scroll down?
Sure, you can scroll down. That would be great.
Okay.
So,
Here?
yeah, that's perfect. So
Okay.
I put together this graphic, if you will, about building your brand and all the things that go into branding you. I'm going to try to not keep my hands up. I have a habit of talking.
Oh, no.
And then everybody's going to see me like this. So I will try not to do that, but no promises, just saying. So these are the tips to building your personal brand. First of all, as I just mentioned, determining who you are, right? That's the first step. And then figuring out what others think of you. And you can get that information by speaking to friends, family, people that you work with, peers, superiors, subordinates, and really taking an inventory, if you will, of what you want others to think. If you get all of that together, it'll give you sort of the building blocks of building your brand, right?
Yes. And I've had, I work with a business coach, and she's had me send out messages to people randomly, like, how do I show up? Like, if you could tell me what you think my weak point is and my strength, let me know. And it was interesting. And I do have to admit that it was consistent. So I'm loud and clear with my weaknesses. And I'm glad that people who are close to me felt, like they could tell me what it is. So it's really good to take stock in that, right? To understand how you currently are showing up, to see if there's that gap.
Absolutely, because the gaps allow you to get better and fix the things that potentially are problematic.
Mm-hmm.
So if I tie that back to, let's just say, looking for a promotion internally or looking for work externally, if you can fill the gap, then you'll likely realize more success in whatever it is that you're doing, because now you have a heightened awareness of what the issues are, so you can tune into them and make corrections.
Yep. So let's go through these on the screen. If you're listening, we have a slide that says 10 tips to building your personal brand. And I'll go ahead and read those out. Determine who you are. Determine what you want others to think. Determine who your target is. Do the research. Schedule informational interviews. And are you going to go through these different things? Okay, create your elevator pitch, the power of networking, get recommended, expand your presence online, and brand yourself offline. So those are our 10 tips that we're now going to go down and get into. So let me move the first one and talk about determine who you are.
Yeah, so to your point and what you were just saying, determining your strengths and weaknesses, right? So that shows you where you really are rocking, and the areas that are gaps. That's a starting point. So making an inventory of the things you enjoy doing is really important. Where do you excel? I like to tell people to keep a sheet, like an Excel spreadsheet of these things, so then you can really look at things and visually take it in and then understand where the gaps are. What do people tell you repeatedly that they recognize about you that you're really good at? And similarly to your point earlier, what do you struggle with? Those are the things you need to take an inventory of, figure out what all of those things are, and then get that in a place that you can review it and work on it. that's the starting point for determining who you are and really the building blocks of your brand.
So let's talk just a second, because I'm on the other side of 50. And so I'm not quite sure that I really want to work on my weaknesses, because at this point in my life, they're there. They might be blaring. They might be, I'm always constantly working on myself. So do you see that there's an age difference if you're working with a younger person, that they see some weaknesses, they might be able to work on those? Or do you give the equal advice to people to go ahead and try to strengthen those areas where they might struggle with?
I'll start with people that are, past the 50 mark, because I'm there myself. And while I recognize that people say, well, I'm too old
50
to change.
is the new
Yes.
30.
Right. I'm too old to change. You know what? Nobody's too old to make improvements. I'm not saying that people need to completely change who they are. Clearly, that's likely not going to happen. You are who you are, and you're going to, you're predisposed in some ways to the things that you've done. But for people that are north of 50, if you will, it's more important really to look at those things and take stock of them and try to, let's just say, massage them. I don't want to say change, because maybe that's too aggressive, but maybe massage them, because as you probably know, the older you get, working is a young person's game. And it becomes increasingly more difficult to get hired when you're a little bit older, because you're likely, in a lot of cases, you might be interviewing with someone younger than you. If the perception is that you're not able to change or modify your thinking or behaviors in some way, you're going to suffer the consequences of that. Mm-hmm. So I don't want people to change who they are and quit, become, presto change, or you're someone else. But you also have to recognize that in the working world, you are required in a lot of cases to modify how you act, how you behave, the things you say to other people, and adapt, sometimes in very dynamic situations. If you're able to do that for yourself, it's likely you'll be able to transfer those things to the environment in which you work.
So I put this comment on screen. One of our followers says she agrees, focus on the strengths and bring in counterparts that balance your weaknesses. So that's an option too, right? If you're in a leadership role, for sure. And I know that Miss Jenny Michaels is fabulous at that. And I can't take your comment off right now, Ginny. So you're just going to have your beautiful face showing on our show. All right. So let's go back to our screen here. Why won't it go off? Hey, hide message from the string. See? Technology at its best. All right. Let's go to the next one. Determine what you want others to think when they think of you. Okay.
So this is a really key part of building your brand. You want to, in the minds of other people, you want them to think a certain thing, right? So it's not just about who you are and what you do today, but it's also sort of like your map for the future. People do change, over time, of course. They evolve, they grow, they mature, and their interests and other things about them, the things they enjoy and the things they don't enjoy, change over time as well. So it's a self-exploration exercise, if you will, figuring out what really drives you, and then looking again at areas for improvement, taking an inventory, understanding what you need to do to grow your knowledge, grow yourself, and be in a better position to move forward with that knowledge and incorporate that into your day-to-day activities, into the way you think and how you express your thoughts with other people. And that's part of the process of determining or helping people think about you in a certain way.
So, life, so this is my opinion, life tends to be seasons, right? So what do you recommend to your clients when they're writing these things down? How often should they review them to maybe update them?
That's a great question. And I say that this is something that's an ongoing thing. You can't just put it away for 6 months and decide, well, I'll come back to this in a year's time. Mm-hmm. It's not like a New Year's resolution, right? It's something that you constantly have to work on. You should always be taking this inventory. You should always be looking. And the reason for that is because if you're going to grow as a person, and if you're going to have the level of success that you're looking for, whether it's because you're looking externally or you're growing internally, you have to really keep these things top of mind. The only way to improve upon them or make changes is to know they're there. If you write them down and put them in a drawer and let them collect dust, I don't know about you, but I don't remember what happened last week. I won't remember. I won't remember any of this stuff.
Facebook memories. Okay, wait. True story. If Facebook didn't tell me this past week that it was my son's birthday because he's not here, I honestly was like, oh no. So yeah, it happens. It happens. All right. So let's go to the next one here. Determine who your target is.
Yeah. So part of building all of these things is, who is your audience? Are you looking to target, a hiring manager? Is it a recruiter? Are you looking to, better engage with your peers? Once you understand the target, it's going to really be that much easier to create your story. You need to know who your target is, because your target will tell you what your story is, what the message you want to convey. It's not going to be the same message for each target. Therefore, you might have different messages. You might have a message for your peers. That message is going to be distinct for that group. Then you might have a message for a hiring manager, which is going to be a different message than that you would share with your peers.
Okay, good point. I don't see any questions on that one. Don't forget, you guys, we're so high tech. You can ask a question and we'll post it on the screen, and we'll get Debra to comment on any questions you might have. So what do you mean by do the research here?
So I am a huge proponent of research. I research everything. And I think that is the cornerstone of success in a lot of things. I tell people all the time to do the research.
Yes.
And you research people, right? You have LinkedIn, you can research them on LinkedIn. You can also research them if you want on social media, find out what they're buying at the grocery store. You can research companies and figure out what their mission, their vision, their values are. Research an industry. There's no better way to get an education, and I mean a comprehensive education, than by doing the research. It will give you so much information, and that arms you. When you have information, you have power.
I love that statement. And I'm going to hide this for a second and I'm going to keep sidetracking us. We might not get through all 12 or all 10 tips, but with what's happening right now in the world, some women, because I'm a big advocate of women in sales, and it's important for some women to ask companies when they're doing their research and say today, can you share with me what your diversity and inclusion policy is? How are you promoting women within the company? And if that's important to you, that's like one of my cornerstone values, right? And if that's important to me, and if I was interviewing with a company and I said, can you tell me about your diversity, inclusion, and how you're supporting women? And they are like, they don't have anything, like a deer in headlights, then perhaps that might not be a company that's in line with your personal brand and your personal mission statement. And it might be something that you want to shy away from. What's your comment on that?
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of D&I as well. And I think it extends to a lot of other things beyond D&I too. Mm-hmm. So if something is important to you and it's personal for you,
yep,
and the company doesn't have those values, then maybe that's not the right environment for you. A lot of people nowadays, especially, it's not just about, going to work and making money. They want to work for an organization that embodies the values and principles that they hold dear. And if you find that a company doesn't have those things, you're likely not going to be able to connect with them in a way that makes sense for you.
Right. And if you don't go through these exercises, people, you're not going to know, right? You're just going to chase the money, and the money can disappear. And so these 10 steps that Debra's taking you through are super important. So let's talk about scheduling, or is this what we're on? Yes, scheduling informational interviews.
So the reason why I have this here, and I think it's super important, and again, it just goes back to your comment just right now, right? If you have, I'm sorry, I have to put my dog down. He's like having a heart. Look how cute he is.
Hi,
He's
so you
not.
have to tell our listeners that can't see that what kind of a dog do you
He's
have?
not. He's a Dosh hound, and he might bark. I'm just saying. So apologies if he does that. So scheduling informational interviews is really a great way to get an understanding of what you want. It's a short interview. It's a way to advance your knowledge. Again, research, but it's just in a different way. Mm-hmm. And you'll find that a lot of people in these instances, they're really willing to share their information and their knowledge with you. They really are. It will give you information about an industry, advice how to break in if you want to do that, if maybe you're making a career switch, or if you're a young person first entering. What do you do to remain current? These people can share that information with you. And the industry or networking groups maybe that they belong to that will allow you to then tap into a broader network.
Yes.
It comes with an added benefit that you meet with these people, right? At some point in the future, maybe there will be an opportunity at that company if you really find a connection. Mm-hmm. And those people, if you stay in touch with them, which is part of what your networking strategy should be, they will think of you.
Okay. That's okay. Great.
I'm sorry. Now I have to open the door for him. Sorry.
We can take a commercial break here.
I apologize. We have to open the door for him. Otherwise, there will be that whining that you just heard, that little will turn into a bark.
Okay, so number 6 is create your own elevator pitch. Now, I'm in starting next week, I think I'm in a 5-day course on honing in your elevator pitch, because that's something I really want to help my clients and customers with. So how do you do that? How do you help people with their own personal brand elevator pitch versus a business elevator pitch? Sure. So, this is their unique value proposition, right? Their UVP that you want to help someone create. And back to the 30-second elevator speech, you only have a very limited time with someone in that situation. And it's unlikely, right, that you're only going to have 30 seconds, but people don't really, they want to know quickly, right? Limited attention span. They want to know what you do, how you do it, and they want you to deliver immediate value. Mm-hmm. So I gave some examples here. I'm a digital marketing leader with a history of developing programs, allow my clients to double their sales revenue to $12 million in as few as 6 months. So what does that do? You're telling someone, A, what you are, right? What you are. Yes. What you are. You're telling them what you do. Mm-hmm. And then you're telling them what happens. Those are 3 critical elements to building a strong, solid UVP that really ties back to your brand. So Now what do people know about you? They know that you're a marketing person. They know that you can develop programs, and they know that you can deliver results. Yes. And that you guys, when you're writing your LinkedIn headlines, these are the type of things that you need to keep front and center as well, right? You don't want to put blah, 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 blah. You want those people to know immediately what value you're bringing to them, what the outcome is of working with you is going to be. So that is very relatable. Okay, let's go to the power of networking. Okay, so networking is critical. And I know that a lot of people find it uncomfortable to network. I know that it's not everybody is wired for going to in-person networking events. Well, we don't have as many of those right now, right. But normally, or hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, we'll have more of them. But it does allow you to share your brand value with people while building relationships. The key to networking is maintaining those relationships. It's not just about going somewhere. And gathering business cards, right? Yes. It's not about gathering business cards. It is not that. What it really is about meeting with a few people and being very prescriptive about your approach and then staying in touch with them. And I know that it's hard and I know that it takes work. I am not suggesting that these things aren't work. However, they pay dividends, because if you can build a few of those relationships and really make them meaningful, those are the people that will help you when you're in a situation and you're looking for a new opportunity, or you're looking for feedback,
or you're looking for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
These people will be a resource for you, and you in turn will also be a resource for them, because it's not all about you.
Right.
This has to be done not only in person, when time allows, of course, and online. And I think online, because people are hiding behind a computer, they do find it a little bit easier, because you can just write to someone, and if there's not that sort of connection immediately, you don't necessarily feel it the way you might feel it in an in-person meeting.
If you see them and the way they act. But, so as you know, Debra, I specialize in social selling. So part of social selling, not part, all right, social selling is all about networking online. And so I like to say, it's just like you're showing up at a cocktail party, or it's just like you're showing up at a networking event. You're going to show up to someone and go, "Hi, I noticed you have a great dress. I love your shoes." Or, "Hey, you were just talking to Sally, and Sally and I went to college together." I mean, it's a real live small talk interaction, right? It's not a spamming thing either. Maybe at a networking event, you're finding your next mentor, right? It's a very valuable opportunity to give and receive, both online and offline. So I don't think people should take it lightly. I think they should really understand, and maybe networking. This is one of my suggestions. I say network with a strategy, network with a goal. Like, what's your goal of going to that networking event? I'm going to meet 3 people, and that's going to be successful. And then what are you going to do afterwards? You're going to send them a thank you note. You're going to send them a thank you gift. You're going to make an introduction for them. Yes, strategy, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, get recommended.
Okay, so this is, having other people support your work is really important. I mean, think about when you personally, right? You say to someone, "I need to have some work done in my yard." Do you know anyone you can recommend? Recommendations are key. Nobody wants to use someone the first time because it's an unknown.
Right.
But if you get a recommendation because 10 other people have said, "Oh, this person is amazing," then you're more likely to want to engage with them, because they've already proven themselves with another group, or another 2 people, or another 10 people, or whatever it is. But recommendations really bump up your brand value. Like, immediately. Someone says, "Oh, this person was amazing." You want to speak to that person and maybe have them help you. So it's critical to sort of build that brand value and that equity, if you will. They can speak to your work ethic, your knowledge base. So recommendations really go a very long way.
And make sure that if you're asking somebody to recommend you, that you know they're going to give you a good recommendation, right? I mean, that could also backfire. So just to make sure you know who you're asking for a recommendation.
Well, you want to prep them, right?
Yes.
You want to say, "I'm doing this, and this is what someone might ask you." Don't just do it cold. "Oh, call John."
Right.
Because he'll tell you, it's going in blind like that is never a good idea.
Right. Okay. So we are going to make it through this, you guys. Expand your presence online. That's what we're doing today, right? We are streaming live on Twitter, on YouTube, and on Facebook. We are so fancy today.
So yes, your online presence, everybody knows the power of having a presence on LinkedIn, the 500-pound gorilla, or whatever you want to call it. LinkedIn is really the go-to networking site, if you will, professional networking site. And you know the value because you see all of the posts every single day from just different people all over the world. Mm-hmm. It's a very valuable tool. And if you join groups on LinkedIn, if you post messages on LinkedIn, and you don't have to sort of all of a sudden say, "I'm going to write an article a week." You don't have to do that. But I would recommend coming up with some sort of editorial calendar for yourself. Even if you say, every 2 weeks, I'm going to write a blog, or every 5th day, I'm going to write a little note on LinkedIn. You will really see, by establishing a pattern, that other people will start engaging with you and will give you the opportunity to engage with them. And that
Yes.
presence online will lead to networking opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's get to number 10. Oh, did I make this too large now? Our last, brand yourself offline.
Yes. So it is not just about an online presence. I mean, that's part of it, right? But again, meeting with people and engaging with them in other ways and sharing your message and learning about their message, keeping engagements professional. You want to make sure that you keep to the topic when you're engaging offline. Maybe you're going to have coffee with someone, or maybe you got an introduction, or maybe even you just met someone just while you were out somewhere. I mean, it happens all the time. People talk when they're out and you meet people. You
Yes.
have to just pay close attention to all of those interactions.
Yes, yes, and just make sure that you're living on brand. I mean, it's if you're authentically living on brand, it's not complicated, right? You're just authentically being you 24/7. You can have an off day, but if you're authentically being you, your authentic self will show up, and you will attract the people that you're supposed to be with. So all of these things are absolutely fabulous. And I so appreciate you and your time today. Everybody, the handout's in the link. I think everybody saw that. So Debra, if people want to get a hold of you, if they're, are you taking new clients? Do you have room for new clients? Tell us a little bit about how they can find you and where they can, well, they know where to find you because I put it in everywhere that I promoted you. But let's just tell them again, where can they find you? How could they work with you? Let's tell a little bit more about that.
Okay, so I am easily found on LinkedIn, Debra Wheatman, so you can find me there. You can also find me if you want to email me directly. You can find me at Debra@careersdoneright.com, and I'll spell it because I know it's rather long. So it's Debra, Debra, at careers, Careers, done, Done, right, WRITE.com. Debra@careersdoneright.com.
And you're also on YouTube. So you've been giving career tips on YouTube.
Yes.
So
I do promote mostly, though, on LinkedIn. I do, for branding purposes, I do a video a week, which I post on LinkedIn, and I do post a lot of content on LinkedIn that I like to share with people. I also write a blog, and that blog is on the Careers Done Right website, and it covers all things career related.
okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. This recording will be, available for everybody. You can hit Debra up with questions. I appreciate your time and energy to join us today. And everybody have a wonderful weekend. If you're listening to this not on a Friday, have a wonderful weekday. But we appreciate you. We appreciate your followers. Next week, we have another show coming to you. I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you're subscribing on the business page for the Social Selling Maven over on the YouTube channel, or follow me on Twitter, which is at Time to Focus. So thanks you guys so much for your energy. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.